Guys, welcome back. We are planning to try get the guys, Kim and Thomas. We're trying to get those guys live with us, having a few little technical difficulties previously. Hopefully we can get these guys on board and fire your questions at them. So hopefully everyone that was with us before can start jumping in, and be great to have as many people here as possible. But anything you guys want to know this evening about KBS, PXG, the fitting process, by all means fire them in the comments section, and we will we'll see what we can do for you. Right, let's see if we can get Thomas in. Okay, how's it looking? Let's see if we can start by. Hey, Thomas, how are we doing?
I'm well. How are you? I got Kim right here with me.
Fantastic.
Hold on.
Well,
hold on.
I'm well. How are you? I got Kim right here with me. Are they watching at the same time? Perfect. Well, good stuff, guys. Once you're ready, it'd be awesome to sit down and talk to you guys about. I guess the first thing, and from people I've been speaking to today, is are you able to kind of introduce yourself and explain to the watchers kind of who you are exactly within KBS and kind of what your job enrolls within the company?
Well, for me, my role comes down to doing a lot of the testing and prototype stuff with Kim.
Yeah.
Kim does, obviously he's the innovator and the brains behind all the shafts. I do kind of the hands-on feels testing, and it started back. I've always come from the playing background as a professional, so that's kind of my expertise.
Fantastic. I mean, I've seen a few of your swings on YouTube, so you can definitely hit a golf ball. So good to have you testing that, which is fantastic. Here's a question for you. How did KBS actually come to start? How long has the company been going now, and where did everything really kick start from with yourself and Kim?
I'll let Kim answer that question if he's on, but Kim started this probably 12 years ago.
Yeah.
He obviously has been the innovator in shafts with, precision frequency, and then up through Royal Precision. And then they sought after Kim to become a designer into FST, and that was the inception of KBS.
Fantastic. I think as well, was the plan, are you trying to get Kim to connect from another phone, or you guys?
Yeah. Kim, are you connected from another phone, or should I could just let him use this one if that works?
Yeah, that would be awesome, because just for the reason of, I don't believe we can do three-way on Instagram, which is a shame. It'd be great if we could.
Okay.
But yeah, if we could all share together would be awesome. Which is a shame. It'd be great if we could.
Okay.
But yeah, if we could.
Yeah, just give me. Hey, Matt, I apologize for all this.
Don't you worry about it. It's good to have you on, Kim. Thanks for joining us. I was just saying while you're in the other room there, are you able to, for the guys watching us right now, are you able to kind of explain to everyone, firstly, if they don't know who you are, yourself, and then how KBS kind of became what it is to this day?
Well, as you know, I've been in this business since I was a kid.
Yeah.
My dad invented frequency matching, and I had to kind of be the fellow that went in the back room and had to figure out how to implement it. So that's how I kind of got my base.
Yeah.
As far as the FST thing goes, I was with Brunswick, Rifle, Royal Precision. We had a lot of different names, Project X, whatever. I mean, it seems like we changed our name about every year and a half.
Yeah.
But we were sold to True Temper.
Yeah.
I was not going to, so I was out of work for a little while, and which was great. And I guess it was about 10 or 11 months. And Larry Bodel, the guy that used to be head of sales and marketing for True Temper, was working with a company called FSG. So he contacted me and wanted to know if I was available. And I said, yeah, let's take a look at it. and visited the plant and one thing and another, and told them they needed to do some things in order for me to be willing to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I redid their catalog, and then I found out that, you know, hey, the reason why you were hired was to start a new brand. And I'm like, well, great. And they questioned a whole bunch of club fitters, and they decided they wanted my name on the damn deal. And I'm like, oh, fine, that's great. You know, let's do it. So that was like 12 years ago. It took about a year or so to create the KBS tour and to really start the brand. Yeah. You know, and at that point I started going on tour, you know, on like a weekly basis. I mean, it was it was hell. And, you know, now, you know, I'd already done the design part. We have a product. Now it's time to promote. And the way we promote is on tour. We try to pull through, you know, rather than throwing out big ads, and, you know, we try to pull through the tour. You know how we do it. So, you know, I went out and, you know, I got a reputation with a lot of these guys. So, I mean, we got guys like Phil and Rosie and Scott. And, I mean, we got some good players. And, and, you know, that's one of the exciting things about what I do. You know, and also you're always looking for feedback from these guys to find out if you need to change anything. And I will tell you, in my history, I've never had to change a damn thing in steel shafts. But anyway, so anyway, so I was brought on board, and I apologize. This is kind of how I do shit. I was brought on board to create a brand. Yeah. And, you know, over the years, what you do is the initial shaft was the KBS Tour, which is the one that fits the most people. Yeah. You know, it goes from 90 grams all the way up to 130 at 5 gram increments. So somewhere in there, you know, you're going to fit a lot of people. Yeah. And then as you learn, you put a product out there, then you start learning about what the deficiencies of it may happen to be. So that gives you an idea where you need to go. Yeah. And that's the reason why C taper, you know, that's the reason why all those other shafts were designed. And, you know, I'm all about fitting. I mean, the first shaft that I ever designed was designed to frequency. I was designing the dog shaft to be a specific stiffness for a specific category of copper. So, I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years. I mean, so you're never going to find somebody that believes in fitting more than I do. There's no way. It just don't happen. And every one of the shafts that I've designed in the KBS line is designed for a specific kind of copper, a specific, you know, category. You know, people say a 15 handicapper. Well, shit, there's strong 15s and there's weak 15s. I mean, what the hell? You know, it doesn't, you know, so what we do is we design shafts, and hey, I'm sorry, this is me, okay? What we do is we design shafts to hit specific swing speeds and to optimize the numbers at those swing speeds. That's what we do. We can't do the high, we're not fitters, but we can supply you a product that will allow you to do that. Yeah. So number one, we assume tempo, we assume all that stuff is normal, if there is such a thing, okay? So we have to eliminate the variables, and, you know, so that's, hey, where do we go? So a great deal of our testing is done with Tom. Tom has the ability to be able to swing at almost any club head speed and do it time and time and time and time and time again. And I know you guys look at launch monitors all the time. So, you know, the important thing is to understand other than just launch, spin, and distance. I mean, there's a lot of other information that you need to understand. And when TK does it, all of those other numbers are perfect. I mean, perfect, you know, so I know that I got a guy that's a robot. And then, you know, we're very fortunate in where we work in that there's not a single day a tour player doesn't come in here. There's 100 and some tour players in our valley. And they come here. So, you know, in terms of developing product, there's something about a player once they're under contract that they feel obligated to help the OEM, but they look at that as work. And I know this because I've been talking to these guys for 30 years. Okay, so but when they come to work with us, it's like shorts and sneakers and, you know, that may even bring a beer or two with them. Who knows? You know, I mean, so it's not like, it's not like, you know, we're working, you know, we're working, but they're just giving us feedback. And that's basically how we do it. TK has a great deal of LPGA players that he actually teaches. So with the slower swing speed stuff, you know, you know where I'm talking about. The average, you know, where people should really be looking to when they decide, you know, what kind of equipment I'm going to play.
Yeah.
But so we're pretty well covered in terms of, you know, I've always been accused of making golf shafts for good players, but that's not how it works. You make it for a good player, and then you bring it down by, you know how you do it. You make it more flexible. You make it get in the air. You make it spin more.
Yeah.
It's the same basic shaft, but it's made for a player that doesn't have that speed.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's how we do it. It's a combination. We don't use robot a lot. I know that you guys do.
Yeah.
For heads, robot, great machine.
Yeah.
For balls, even better.
Yeah.
Golf shafts suck. I mean, you can get any golf shaft, regardless of how bad it is, perform well on a machine.
I guess the issue with the robot is there's nothing that gives you feedback and feel.
That's exactly right. I mean, and also, once you dial it in, here's what my experience with robots are. The lighter and stiffer the shaft, the better the performance.
Okay.
Even we've gone even to the point where people can't play it. It feels awful. I mean, it feels awful. But on a robot, it performs very well. So anyway, like I said, for balls and for clubs, robot, fantastic.
So how did you end up meeting the human robot, TK? How did that kind of relationship start?
Well, TK is among the most curious people I've ever met in terms of golf, in terms of equipment.
Yeah.
And he actually had been testing for me for a number of years before he actually was put on the payroll.
Right.
And he was doing it simply because he wanted to learn.
Right.
And here, I'll let TK, I'm going to give it to TK real quick and let him talk about that.
Yeah, I'm always trying to push the envelope in you know, technology. So I had played basically X100 for my first 14 years on tour. It was the only shaft that I'd ever played, the only shaft that I ever knew. And I was always curious about, you know, what another shaft would do. And when Kim asked me what I would change about an X100, I said, well, to be honest, I'd like it to feel have a little more feel in the shaft, a little softer, but I would also like it to be tight dispersion, get the ball in the air in the long irons and be able to, you know, maneuver the short irons into the wind. So I was asking for a lot that really didn't make sense. You know, how do you get long irons in the air, maintain dispersion, but at the same time get a softer feel? So that was kind of the evolution of the 130 KB Tour, to be honest. And as soon as he did that, and the frequency came out about 7.0 on that shaft, which is significantly stiffer than an X100, but also feels softer. I was like, wow, this is so. I've known from that day forward, once that shaft came into conception, that was, you know, we were on to something. He knew what he was doing, and I was a believer. And, you know, it's interesting as you evolve. At the time, I was doing a lot of prototype testing and for Ping with one of my best friends in the world, Mike Nicolette.
Yeah.
Who you might be familiar with, because honestly, this is how small a circle of golf is.
Yeah.
I had spent all my time with Bob Parsons, and I brought him to Mike.
Yeah.
To the PXG, and that was kind of the evolution of PXG.
So so I mean, that's awesome that this all links together. Is there stuff that you guys are still doing to this date with our engineers, and is there ideas that get thrown around with products you're developing versus, you know, our head technology? How does that work?
You know, it's interesting. Mike being one of my close friends for years and years, I really respect his opinion. And to be honest, the synergy that between us, and then also, you know, when I'd spent a lot of time with Bob back when, you know, when this was happening, and Bob's one of the smartest guys, obviously, on this planet. I mean, business-wise, unbelievable. Golf-wise, unbelievable. Like, he's just so passionate to excel. And it's, you know, Kim and I are trying to excel stuff in the golf shaft industry as much as, like, basically Bob and Mike have developed the heads. Yeah. And when you have heads that are being created at the technology of this, and then, you know, we're trying to do the same, it's great to have something that can, you know, help each other, so to speak.
That's fantastic. Awesome. See, I love that. I always say to everyone, the golf industry is a very small circle, but there's a little snippet for a few people that wouldn't kind of know that about kind of a small link between KBS and kind of Bob, our founder as well, which is great. I've seen some questions rolling in, and I've definitely got some of my own. One of them is people are talking about wedge shafts, and when we were trying to connect previously, a couple of questions came up about you guys are one of the only manufacturers out there that actually have a kind of a range and options of wedge shafts. Is there a reason you have so many options, and what's kind of the reason for those? Because, I mean, I know too many golfers that just play, I mean, they might play like C-taper 130s all the way through the irons, so they just continue that through to the wedges, that kind of thing. How would you say is the best way of going around getting fit for wedge shafts, and the reason you have multiple models out there?
Well, you know, again, it's about fitting.
Mm-hmm.
It's about feel when you get to wedges, more so, almost more so than other clubs.
Yeah.
And so we developed a series of wedge shafts that are going to fit different categories of players.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so it's the same thing. We all know 90% of the OEM wedge shafts that are out there have an X400 in it.
Yeah.
Or an X200, or, you know, something. They call it a wedge flex so that they don't have to worry about the weight. You know what I mean? It's someplace between 132 grams and 120, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
that's what they've been playing. And people learn how to make things work. I mean, people played great golf with it forever,
Yeah.
but it was one option. And
Yeah.
we want, you know, again, it gets back to fitting. We have shafts that spin more. We have shafts that spin less. We have shafts that go higher. We have shafts that go lower. I mean, it's all about, again, it's a personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
It's about fitting. I mean, it's all about fitting.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So kind of you would say for that individual who asked the question, the best thing to do is link in some time with us guys over here. We'll build the clubs up and really just dial it in and see what's kind of performing best, rather than this works for this golfer, this works for this golfer.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
100% of the time, that's what we would recommend.
Fantastic.
You know, there's nothing wrong with using the same shaft throughout the set, like you said initially. I mean, there's really, from a physics standpoint, if you're fit correctly, there's no reason why. But because wedges are almost on their own in terms of the kind of shots you hit, you hit a lot of shots that are less than full. Mm-hmm. I mean, really less than full. Not like a regular, you know, your 8-iron, you're going at it. You know, you get down to a wedge, it's a little different animal.
Yeah.
So we want to give that option. The majority, not the majority, but maybe the majority of our C-taper players on tour actually probably play the high rev 2.0.
Yeah.
More so than the C-taper. As you know, the C-taper is a pretty stout shaft.
Mm-hmm.
When you get down to those less than full swings, unless you want to hit a bullet, unless you like it to go in low, which a great deal of players do. Strong players. When you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about strong players, and you don't have to have a +8 handicap. I'm talking about strong players. Period. Again, we don't like to do. I don't know how you do things with handicap. We try to do things a little bit differently.
No, I agree. I get a lot of guys coming to me and they say, "Hey Matt, I play off 12." Okay, it's like, okay, cool. Well, how many putts do you have around? Because I've seen ball strikers who are like some of the best ball strikers I've ever seen, but if you give them a wedge, it's absolute game over. And you've got the scramblers out there as well. So yeah, I totally recommend. I mean, all through the bag. If you want to get something fully locked in, like we'll get a fitting locked down. Another question for you, because we do so much of it within the PXG line, especially within our new Gen 3 range of irons. How did the S-taper come around to kind of being created? Was it the fact that you guys needed a higher balance point shaft, or is there kind of other aspects to it that you introduced it and that's why it became such a success?
Well, the majority of our shafts have a little bit higher balance point because there's a couple of reasons for it. Mm-hmm. The number one reason for it is the factory that I work out of was designed in the last 20 years,
Yeah.
17 years. So the machinery we have is from the 2000. It's, you know, it's up to date.
Yeah.
The machinery I worked with at Brunswick was 1940, 1950, which is what True Temper uses. And the heat treating and the process requires that you reinforce the tip or it's going to bend.
Yeah.
100% of the time. And it's because we were using technology that was dated.
Yeah.
So with the heat treating we have today, it's not necessary to put that reinforced section in.
Yeah.
I don't like the reinforced section because it affects the amount of energy that's being transferred. I just want that shit I want it to flow.
Yeah.
It's like a whip. You know, you just want it to flow. You don't want nothing to get in the way. And also, it allows the fitter to fit, and this is something that I'm really big on. Rarely are you fitting short. Rarely are you fitting short. Often you're fitting long. When you have a shaft with a low balance point, you fit long, you got a high swing weight.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, so by having a little bit higher balance point, it's just a more fittable shaft. But hey, getting back to the S taper, the S taper, we wanted a shaft that didn't have a low launch, but had an extremely low spin. Now, if you ask most people about that, they're saying you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, those two things just don't go together.
Yeah.
But there's things called rebound angles. There's lots of stuff that goes into it other than just the common.
There's also something called feel. So the S taper, being the micro steps, we were able to transfer the energy more efficiently with the softer feel, and that in turn helps the head feel. So I mean, you know, you don't want to get a shaft stiff enough that it makes the head feel, regardless if the head feels soft or firm, it's going to make it feel firmer if it's, you know, it doesn't have any feel to it.
And also the reason why that shaft, one of the things, I'm really big in dispersion. You know, I'm really big in dispersion.
Yeah.
That's why our shafts, you know, the thing about feeling soft and being stiffer, that's all about dispersion.
Yeah.
As you know, that S taper doesn't spin very much. Spin not only causes the ball to stay in the air longer, it also causes it to go left and right more often. You know, the greater the damn thing's spinning, the more it's going to go off, the greater your dispersion is going to be.
Yeah.
And you know, it just doesn't spin over end. It spins, you know, and I don't care how good a player you are. You know, that's just the way things go.
Yeah.
So by decreasing the spin, one of the comments that we got most, which was similar to what we got when we came up with the hybrid, because there's some similarities there, is the fact that they would initially it wasn't in their line of sight. They would look up, they knew they pulled it, they knew it was going left, they'd look left, and then all of a sudden they couldn't find it, and they look a little bit right, and there it is. If you're a right-handed player.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whose phone's ringing, but anyway, that's how the S taper. I wanted a shaft that got in the air. As you know, more than anything that stops the ball is the angle of descent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Angle of this, you know, and I wish that somebody would just put out a friggin' catalog. You know, one of the problems with our industry, we have no standards.
Yeah. Of course.
So, you know, I know you know how to read a launch monitor inside and out, but we don't necessarily have a game plan here. You know, you know, if you ask 50 people what those numbers mean, you may get a lot of different answers. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to the S taper, we wanted the shaft that had a really tight dispersion, and it's, you know, for those players that kind of overpower.
Yeah. So I've got a question that comes up all the time, and this one's actually come from one of the UK team. Is it S taper? Is it dollar taper? Is it money taper?
It's money. That shaft is friggin' money.
He'll be so happy you said that, because he loves to run with that through fittings. It's the same, like you said. This shaft is money. This is money, and I got into the stage of calling it S taper just because that's what I read every day. Yeah. When I'm ordering stuff, it's S taper.
No, hey, that's fine. Order S taper. That's what most people call it. But you know, when we started working with players on that, we just kept getting money from everybody.
So that's where.
So I just decided to take, and even our marketing guys didn't care for it at first, but I decided to take the S and make a money sign out of it. So that's how that happened.
Awesome. I think that's fantastic. That's made my day on that one. I had some other questions come in. One of the other one was saying, can you guys talk to us about, and I've actually got one right here, because this is coming out to be tested with me next week. So I'm looking forward to hitting that for the first time next week. Now we can get on the courses. Can you guys talk to us? You've been so well known about your steel shafts, but now you've got, and of course you came into the hybrid game with graphite, and we've got awesome shafts out there now like TGIs. But the question came in about, can you tell us a little bit more about the new TD line that you've got?
Well, all the other graphites that we produced was basically geared towards getting to a driver eventually. Honestly, my boss wanted me to do a driver before anything else.
Yeah.
You know, it's the sexiest shaft in the bag, and it's the most expensive. There's some reasons why they wanted me to do the driver first, but you know, I'm like, hey, we're not a driver company. Let's figure out. You know, let's do a couple things before we get there.
Yeah.
And I have been pissed over the years because we keep losing shafts to hybrids. So I'm like, let's do a really good hybrid and go from there. So we developed a hybrid shaft, and I want to tell you, Mike has more than a little bit to do with that one. Hey, I'm gonna get to the driver. So we did the hybrid. The hybrid just took the tour by storm.
Yeah.
We knew we had something. We did the irons. Now it's time to do a driver. So we've done a driver. And we did a driver on the feedback from what we've gotten from the hybrid, and mainly, you know, kind of what the feedback that we got from the hybrid. And then we implemented this same kind of ideas, the same formulas to the driver that we did with the hybrids, and honestly that I do with irons. It's all fit. You know, the great thing about this thing is when I first got into this latest bit, was just knowing that some of the things that I do ordinarily is not going to work, and it's physics. So it doesn't matter if it's 43 or 45 inches long, or if it's 35 inches long. It's still a tube. It still bends. It's still physics.
It still transfers energy. Still how the shaft transfers energy from the butt to the tip.
And the way we did that shaft was the way we did all of our graphites. We did it on speed. Again, considering all the other stuff's normal. And what we did is we optimized the launch and speed characteristics for each one of those categories. So
what's great about all your, like, I've had the privy of seeing a few of the, you know, the new PXG driver line coming out, but and with the adjustability, with the weights in with the toe center heel, I mean, if our shaft invariably in a medium sense launches at 2300, you know, on a normal playing field, and we've got the right weight parameters, you can do the rest with your head technology in terms of dialing it in.
100%. Because we can now move. I take it you're talking about the new proto, so you've been able to.
Yeah, the new protos look great.
Yeah,
they look great.
They've kept us busy the last few weeks. And I'm looking forward to actually getting hands-on with that myself soon. But just from looking through it, and I've actually now got a couple of guys in the UK that are playing that this week, being able to move as much mass as what we can around now by moving 20 grams to kind of far corners of the head does give us so much more room that you can start dialing in. I mean, I've got a Gen 2 sat here, and you have to move in kind of bulks of weight, and this is just an XF, but to be able to take that proto and move all the way from here and then moving it kind of like 5 inches, 4.5 inches back is going to make a hell of a difference to those spin rate numbers. So pretty excited to see how that's going to come out as well, and then team it up with the TD shaft and see how it flies.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, the TD shaft it's so far, I mean, we knew that it was going to be good, but I mean, it's exceeded our expectations.
Great.
Several times. I mean, it really has. And anyway, I only saw the new driver a few days ago. I've been coming into the office that much, but anyway, Bob works real closely with us, and or your team works real closely with us, and the driver looks wonderful. I haven't had a chance to hit it yet, but by far, it looks to me like it's going to be. I have no doubt it's going to be your best driver, without a doubt.
That's what I like to hear. I want to see it in both your bags.
Yeah, well, I don't know if TK's got one yet, but I haven't been playing. I hit balls yesterday for the first time in about 6 weeks. He's played 87 rounds in the last week.
Yeah.
So anyway, he may have one in his bag already.
Stop getting on airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Fantastic. So another question for you. I've got a couple here. I get a lot of people talking to me about putter shafts.
Yeah.
I know you guys here. I'm holding the CT 120, which is a shaft that I play myself. The PXG putters actually carry KBS shafts throughout the Gen 2 milled range, so we go through a lot of these, a hell of a lot. Can you tell the guys watching and then the people that will be watching to this video recording after is what makes this shaft special, and why should people actually pay attention to the putter shaft?
Well, putter, again, it's about feel. If it don't feel right, it's never going to go in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And that shaft, we use the same kind of formula that we use on all our shafts. It's on the stiff side. We don't want to have, you guys were able to measure at contact where, what happens with a putter. And I'll be honest with you, before I started working with it, I was amazed when I first started working with it, how much deviation there was on a 15-foot putt. I mean, I was just like, whoa. So what we did with that shaft is we tried to make it have as least amount of deviation as possible, but at the same time, not make it feel like a ski pole. We wanted to have that thing feel decent. And so anyway, what we did is we made it as stiff as we could without making it too stiff in terms of feel. And that's the whole story behind that shaft. Again, it's a shaft that's made to try to decrease the amount of dispersion on the club head at impact. And with putters, it was very eye-opening to me to see how much deviation there was on even a 15-foot putt.
Fantastic.
I've had to become innovative in putting as the head weights have dramatically gone up over the last several years, as you know.
And that's not, even on a 35-inch putter, it's not necessarily, we're not just talking about with the long things. We're talking about putters in general. The head weights have gone up.
I think one of the key things that you've said throughout every product that we've spoken about is feel. That's kind of like the key word that keeps coming up. And would you say that is the case that for you guys as KBS, I speak to a lot of shaft brands and fitters and all sorts, and they'll kind of throw different technologies and words at me and all these different letters that mean something. But for you guys, you're always focusing back on feel. And is that kind of everything you create, there's a purpose to where you're going, but it has to have that feel aspect, I guess, that kind of signature KBS feel?
That's in part, and that, hey, in terms of this thing being able to transmit as much energy as possible and to be as efficient as possible, that is what you're feeling. Yeah. That is what you're feeling. So it's a byproduct of the formula, and it's something that we're known for.
Yeah.
I can probably safely say you've not had too many people that said our shafts feel bad. They may not feel what they want because, in some cases people want a harder feel, or people, they get used to the dynamic kind of, feel, and that's what they want. The greatest thing is this. We started this thing up 10 years ago, let's say, maybe 11. And this has not been going on for the last, 11 years. This has been going on my whole life. Yeah. I asked the guy, everybody plays dynamics. I mean, when I was a kid, I had two choices. It was either a dynamic or a dynamic. So I played dynamic. Yeah. Okay. And I've asked hundreds of players over the past 30 years, how come? What are you playing a dynamic for? And they always get this kind of blank look in their eyes because, that they're trying to think about why they like it. And it's always the same answer. Yeah. I've never played anything else. Yeah. So one of the great things is that we knew was going to happen, that it's happening in a big way now because of fitting. Mm-hmm. The kids that are coming up today, I think the majority, and I know we're talking about the very top of the pyramid, but they're the ones that move it. Good, bad, or ugly, they are. Yeah. I think today the majority of those kids have been fitted. Mm-hmm. And as you know what the percentage of our shafts that go into your sales.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same at everybody else too. I mean, we're almost 3-to-1 to the next guy when it comes to fitting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our thing, man. And what are we talking about?
Shafts.
So anyway, it's part. Anyway, I think we're talking about how they feel. And
Yeah.
it's not soft. Soft's not the right word. It's smooth is the right word.
Yeah.
And the reason why it feels smooth is because you do your job right. And what is optimum is the shaft to be straight as possible at impact. That's when you're fit correctly.
Yeah.
And when that happens, the amount of at the collision point, you don't have that S wave shooting up the shaft as much. There will be one, but nearly as much. Once you've been fitted correctly with the shaft that has been designed the way we designed it.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say.
The head thing, you know, like the PXG head, there's a certain, you're looking for a certain technology that has obviously the best numbers and all, but you're also looking for the right feel on how it goes through the ground. So it has to have the right camber, it has to have the right bounce, and it has to have the right, you know, the material that you guys have in the head is giving you that feedback to allow the right feel for that too.
Yeah, I think as well, the reason from on the front line fitting the product and your shafts work so well is the majority of players that come to us are looking for that signature PXG soft feedback off the face and the feel and that, I mean, that kaboom baby moment. So by being able to enhance that with your products and they're feeling that kind of energy transition through the shaft, that's where everyone gets, or I personally feel, everyone gets the full package. I mean, I personally say I'll play whatever works best, but I actually play your shafts in my irons. And it's for the reason being is I've got a decent club head speed, but I have to feel what's going on with the shaft or I will manipulate it and it'll go everywhere. And that kind of leads straight back into what you were saying, Kim, about dispersion. If I have something that I can't feel what's happening, I'll probably manipulate it. And that's where I start throwing shots around. So no, it's good to hear that. The one thing you said as well about kind of, I know how many shafts go in our clubs versus others and that. I tell you one thing that we do bundles of, and this might be because within Gen 1, Gen 2, we had Extreme Dark, is one of these here. This is for the guys out there. These black shaft options that you guys do. I'm sure the viewers are going to love that. I mean, they just fly into golf clubs. And I mean, even into chrome heads, just because they look great. I mean, I carry chrome heads and black shafts. It's just the look I liked. So when did you guys come around to saying we need something sexy like this? This is what the market needs.
Well, hey, we have a lot of similarities in terms of how we think.
Yeah.
We don't care if our shafts are the most expensive. We really don't care. You know, hey, I think our shafts should be more expensive than they are, a lot. But, you know, it's just, hey, man, it's just, again, one flavor don't fit everybody. And the black shafts have, you know, and we've done some things with wedges and things like that, you know, with colors and stuff. You know, hey, listen, man, I'm about performance. And I will tell you, a lot of the color stuff comes from our marketing people and from, and just listening. Hey, you know, from listening to people like yourselves. And then all of a sudden, there's all these black heads start coming out. Mm-hmm. And that is really the reason why we went there. We saw all these black heads, and we're like, hey, why don't we have a shaft? And we can match your shaft because we use the same process on our shaft that you guys used on your, you know, a lot of times. Yeah. So they match up perfectly. They match up.
Yeah, it looks so good. Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of it. I guess the last guy I saw that had full blacked out wedges with your shafts was Pat Perez.
Pat Perez does. Gary Woodland does.
Justin Johnson.
Hey, one of your guys. Shane Lowry does. Shane Lowry just loves them in his wedges anyway. I'm not sure if he plays them in everything else. But, I mean, Shane changes his wedges. I don't know if he does it over there, but he changes his wedges every time he comes over here. And, I mean, it's like clockwork. Shane's in the field. We got any black wedges? Oh, I'm sorry. Shane uses green wedges, doesn't he? Yeah, I think Shane uses green ones. But anyway, you know, I mean, he's got a thing for green.
It's cool.
But, anyway, it was just, again, just making something else available. I like the black ones myself, but anyway, it's just, hey, it's just making something else available. We are very committed to we actually put PXG in the same category as we put fitting companies.
Yeah.
They're nowhere near your size. I mean, you are an OEM.
Yeah.
But you're very different in that you're a fitting OEM.
Yes.
The other OEMs want to put the golf clubs on the racks, and they will do fitting.
Yeah.
But you know, so anyway, we put you guys in an entirely you're in a different category than
I guess it's the reason, like, I've got one of the fitting vans parked outside my door right now, and if I went in there just for the 7-iron, I'd have like 30 different variations of your shafts, just your shaft alone, that I could give to someone. It's not one flavor suits everyone. It's, let's spend an hour, 2 hours together and let's get this right. And this is why I have all of this this stuff for you. So yeah, it's always been a pleasure working with your guys' staff, and such great to speak to both of you today. So what I'll do as well, if any of the viewers or any of the guys are watching this after, make sure that everyone's following the KBS Golf Shafts Instagram page and PXG UK Fitter. I'm sure they can reach out through there if they've got any questions, and then if anyone wants to fire any questions direct to myself, I can either answer them or I can fire them straight to the main guys, and we'll get those taken care of and answered for you.
We're more than happy to, you know, hey, I like answering questions more than anything. And if someone has enough interest to ask it, I'm going to answer it. So you get them to us, and we'll answer them for you.
I really appreciate your time, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch up again very, very soon.
Hey, sorry about the initial.
Don't you worry. It kept me on my toes, which is good.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Take care, man.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. See you, man.
Okay, guys. Really hope you enjoyed that. Fantastic to have those guys on. I've been looking forward to that one for like the last 3-4 weeks, ever since we knew they were coming on board. I play a little bit of KBS in the bag myself. Love the product. Most importantly, still, I actually love fitting the product. They have such a wide offering of shafts that I can get into so many players that if you came to me and said, "Hey, Matt, I want PXG clubs, but I only want KBS," I would have no issue going, yeah, there's a option there that we can fit you in. Potentially, if you came in with some, you know, kind of maybe another manufacturer, you say, I only want to play this shaft, then we may not be able to get kind of 100% out of it. But yeah, very good indeed. Next week we have, and I can see him just looking at me down there, we have myself and Lawrence Pawley. Lawrence I worked with, and he's our Northern UK master fitter. Lawrence is going to be running me through a putter fitting. So make sure you join us 7 p.m. next Wednesday. I'll go find myself a Huxley putting green, work on my putting stroke, and Lawrence will get us all sorted, ready for when we can get on the course again. Take care, guys. And if you have any questions, give us a shout. Don't forget KBS Golf Shafts page. Make sure you follow those guys, and PXG UK Fitter. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.